Hello, welcome to Baker Tech Talk. I'm Mike Baker. So, you want to run some lab simulations with virtual interconnected network devices. You've heard about virtualization environments like GNS3 and EVE-NG, but you aren't sure how to get started. In this video, we will install EVE-NG on a PC, which will be completely dedicated to running EVE-NG. Beware, you will be completely overwriting the boot disk on this PC, so be sure this is really what you want to do. There are benefits to running EVE-NG on a dedicated server. This will give the best performance as EVE-NG is running as closely as possible to the PC hardware. You will have all of the RAM, CPU, and disk available to EVE-NG virtual devices. The separation of the server from the EVE-NG client will allow you to disconnect or shut down the client PC while the virtual network devices in EVE-NG continue to run and interact with each other and external networks. In this video, we'll visit the EVE-NG website for advice on bare metal installation, download EVE-NG bare metal installation image, make a bootable EVE-NG USB flash drive, we'll examine PC BIOS settings, boot from USB and install EVE-NG, verify the EVE-NG installation, and connect from client browser and log into the EVE-NG GUI. Let's get started. Let's do a search for EVE-NG on bare metal. Here we go, bare metal install. EVE-NG, this is their website documentation installation. Let's look for this. Okay, so here we get two options, one for EVE Professional server and Community bare server. So we're interested in just the Community edition. So let's follow this link. New tab, that takes us to the Community Cookbook. This is an embedded PDF, I guess. Let's download the PDF, save that. I'd rather just look at it in PDF format. Come on, downloads. All right, and open. All right, so here we go. We've got this. Let's take a quick scroll through contents. Probably the first thing, first thing we're interested in is under hardware requirements. Say minimum system requirements. Maybe we'll take a look at that. 9, recommended 10, and then for our case, we're particularly looking for this dedicated server, bare metal system requirements on 11. So let's skip down to page 9. Here we go. So this is 9. Okay, minimal requirements. So you need an Intel CPU supporting the virtualization instruction sets, operating system, Windows 10, 11, or Linux. In our case, we're doing bare metal, so there won't be an operating system. The VMware workstation and player, nothing to deal with there. Anyway, let's have a quick look at minimal laptop requirements. So they're saying you should have an i7 CPU with 8 logical processors, and the Intel virtualization turned on in BIOS. 8 gigs of RAM, 50 gigs of hard disk space, and a network connection. For the PC requirements, EVE virtual machine requirements. So then I guess they're saying out of, you're going to need a few CPUs, vCPUs dedicated to the virtual machines that you're going to run, the virtualized devices, network devices. And those are each going to require RAM and hard disk also. And all that network traffic potentially can come in and out of the machine on a network adapter that's on the hardware. So they're saying, yeah, this minimum requirement will be able to run small labs, but obviously the more RAM, CPU, and disk space you can throw at this thing, the bigger, more involved labs you'll be able to run. And certainly, they give us a couple examples here. IOL, these are some Cisco, this is all kind of Cisco's virtualized devices.
but they're talking about how many that you could run. So 30, 20 or 25, 8 or 10, 2 or 3, depending on, how heavy they are. So again, that's something you'll have to look up separately when you download the software images that will run your virtual network devices. You'll get those from the vendors, and that will determine, or you can look at those specs. So let's move on. This is minimal requirements. Let's get down to where, well, they say recommended. So here we go again. Intel i7, 16 logical processors, 32 gigs of RAM, 200 gig disk space, and a network. And again, they're saying, hey, the more hardware you can put into this server, the more elaborate virtual scenarios you can build. Virtual server, we're not going to deal with that in this video. We're going to skip down to the bare metal server. So of course here they're saying you need an Intel Xeon CPU. So that's like server class with EPT, and it's going to run Ubuntu server. And I believe the Ubuntu server part comes along with the image. I think we're going to end up with an ISO that we download from EVE-NG, and we boot the machine and install. It will take care of putting Ubuntu underneath, but we'll have all the services needed for EVE-NG to run. So this is a beast machine, which for our purpose today, we're going to use something certainly more attainable and affordable, and we'll see that it will work. So this says Intel Xeon CPU, so this is definitely a server machine. They're saying, hey, it should be an E5 2650 version 4 with 48 logical processors or better, extended page tables, blah, blah, blah. Okay, 128 gigs of RAM, 2 terabytes of disk space, and a LAN Ethernet. Like I said, you'll see the machine we're going to use. It won't be this heavy, but it will certainly have a fair amount of resources and will be certainly more reasonably priced, I think, than what this would cost to build. All right, so then if we go back to the table of contents, where's the bit about installation? Here we go, installation. So it says in VMware ESXi, bare hardware. Okay, so section 3.3 and page 24. Here we go, 24. 23, wait, what are we? Oh, here we go, I just missed it. So here, bare hardware server installation. So you're going to want to get the community edition ISO, and they show where to get that here. So we'll just, I guess I'll just follow that link. Let's see where that takes us. I trust this, sure. Go. Okay, so here we are at the EVE-NG website for downloads, download links for EVE-NG. So you'll notice this first section is professional. We're not going to download the professional version, as we would have to buy a license. We want the community edition. So here we are, direct link. So we get it from the Mega Mirror. So it's going to be an ISO. We can see down here at the bottom of the page, it's an ISO, and one's coming directly from their website. One's coming from the Mega New Zealand Mirror site. Let's try the direct one, although this might be slower. It won't be a problem because we will. So yeah, we can see here this is 3 gigabytes to download. So it's going to take a few minutes to come in. We'll skip ahead in the video and we'll come back when that's downloaded. That download has completed, and let's go find it. Here we go. So we have a 3.3 gig image file. It is an ISO. So we're going to need to make a bootable USB flash to boot our bare metal PC from. So I recommend that we use Balena Etcher. Let's find that. I've used that before. Here we go, download Balena Etcher IO. Yes, so let's go. That looks fine for me. Download. We'll get it for Windows. Download. You can see you got Windows, Mac, or Linux. This is a very portable app. So that's also gone to our downloads folder. Here we go. Let's run it. If you've if you already know how to burn or make a bootable USB flash, you can skip ahead to the next chapter. We're going to continue here with the details. So we want to we're going to flash from a file, the one we just downloaded. One moment, let me find my USB that I'm going to use. I'll put that in the PC. Okay. Flash from file. We're going to downloads. Here's our EVE image. Select the target. I put in this flash. Go. Flash it. Yes. So this should take. We got 1 minute and 5. All right, so we can we'll fast forward through this, and I'll see you on the other side when we have our bootable flash. All right, our bootable flash is complete. Looks like it's formatted 2 partitions at least. Okay, so we are done. We're not going to flash another. We could make another one easily. We won't. All right, so we should now have, yeah, we see 2 drives have shown up here. This D and E, which we're not going to worry about. We're just going to unmount those. Eject. There we go. Okay, so I can remove the flash drive now, and we'll go over and get ready to boot the PC from the USB flash. All right, I've come over to the PC. This is a Dell Optiplex small form factor PC. I'm just going to boot it up, and we'll have a look at the BIOS settings so we can compare to what we saw in the requirements for EVE-NG. Okay, I've just hit the power button. I'm banging the F2 key to get the BIOS. Let's see what happens. Come on. Here we go. Okay, so we can see this is a Dell Optiplex 7060. If we look at the system information, we have 32 gigs of RAM installed, some space for some more. We've got the hard disk is in the M2 SSD slot. So we were interested in the virtualization support according to the documentation. So if we have a look at this section, enable Intel virtualization technology. So we have that turned on. VT for direct IO. This is turned on as well. And trusted execution, I don't think we're worried about this. If we look here, specifies whether measured virtual machine monitor can utilize the additional hardware capabilities, TPM. So this is to access, I think, the TPM, the module, trusted module in this hardware, which EVE-NG isn't going to have any, we're not worried about that. So I think we're fine on checking that we've enabled the virtualization. So we can get on now with booting from the USB stick.
If we follow the EVE-NG bare metal installation document, they mention in phase one we're going to boot from the bootable USB we created. So I'm going to hit the power button. I'm going to start hitting F12 to get the boot menu on this PC. Should just be a moment. Here we go. This had Windows on it previously, so in the UEFI, we still have a Windows boot manager showing this PMAP is going to be our USB drive. So I'll hit enter. I see the flash flashing. Now we have some choices here: install community, bare metal option, boot from next volume or firmware. So we're going to choose, according to the documentation, it says to choose the bare metal option. I will hit enter and away we go. I hit enter. Now I'm hitting enter a second time. I see the flash flashing. Here we go. Looks like it's going to boot Ubuntu. And this phase one is mentioned in the documentation. It says phase one Ubuntu installation. So here we go. We see it's Ubuntu Server 22, Jammy Jellyfish. All right, so this should continue, and it looks like we're going to end up with the normal Ubuntu installation options where we're going to choose the language, keyboard, and such. I'm just taking a scan through the doc. I guess it's off. There is a network connected to this PC at the moment with internet connectivity. So maybe it's trying to go off somewhere. Okay, it's moving on. Here we go. So we have our pick the language. I'm going to choose English. English US keyboard. We'll just say done with that. Now we're on to, I don't think they mentioned this in the docs, but after select continue, confirm. Yeah, well, they're asking us what do we want to do with this disk we have. So I have an SSD in here, which I don't think there's anything on it, or I'm not worried about what's on it. And again, this is a very important piece of this warning at this point. Whatever's on the hard disk, the bootable disk in the PC is going to be overwritten. Well, or you're going to have your choice here what to do. I'm going to say use the entire disk, set it up as LVM. That's fine. We don't need any encryption. I'm going to take this easy option. So it's going to totally overwrite this 1 terabyte SSD. And again, that's no problem for me, but make sure that's what you want to do. Here we go. Now we see, here's what it's going to do. It's going to create, so, you know, whoever built this, the EVE-NG partitioning scheme had some defaults set up. We're just going to take the defaults here. I'm going to, again, just say done. Confirm destructive action. So here we go. Now even the OS is warning us, hey, are you sure you want to continue with this? Because you're going to overwrite everything on that disk. Let's go. So at this point, this should be installing all of the Ubuntu that EVE-NG thinks or, you know, has determined we need in order to run EVE-NG. Okay, and I do see in the documentation they mention that the system will auto boot to continue to phase 2. So it looks like we're rebooting now. Yep, indeed, and it's going quickly, so it must be booting off of the SSD. It's really flying by. Okay, so here we go. Second stage install in progress, EVE-NG login. Now, in the documentation, they mention do not log in this stage. Step 5, yeah, please wait. EVE-NG installation phase 2 will start automatically. Do not log in this stage. Step 6, after EVE, VM will auto reboot and EVE login screen will appear. Login in CLI with root/EVE and follow instructions. Okay, yeah, so we're still watching the, this must be the EVE portion unpacking and installing itself now that the OS is running from the local disk. So again, we're just going to ride this out. It should reboot itself, and then we'll log in with the user. Looks like root and EVE as the password. Okay, there we go. Yeah, it looks like it's rebooting now. So this should take us to phase 3, which is listed in the documentation as management IP setup and updates. So this will boot. I guess we're gonna have to, okay. Yeah, so here we go. This is the console login, EVE-NG, default root password is EVE, so it's giving us a clue. So we're gonna log in as, according to the docs, as root with EVE as the password, so root, EVE, and there we go. Now, let's see, they don't, well, I think what it's asking me here is, hey, we have the default password. You're going to have to change it. I think so. I'm going to, well, I'm going to type the regular password. I just typed EVE. Okay. Repeat EVE. Yeah, I think that wanted the new, wanted us to give it a new password. It's not, it's fine. We're just going to leave it as EVE for now. Now it's going to say, give it a host name. I'm going to call this EVE-NG2 just to differentiate it from anything else we have here in the lab. Okay. I don't know. Local lab. We'll just give it a fake name. Okay, so we're going to use a DHCP or a static IP address for this. We could go either way, but let's think about what's going to happen here. This thing's going to boot up and run. If you don't have a static address on it, when you point your browser, you're going to have to use another machine as a client. You're going to point your browser at something. What are you going to point it at? You're going to have to know the address. Now, if it's DHCP, you may have to look at the console to find out what the address is, because it's going to tell you on the console what the address is. But if you plan to run this headless or something, no keyboard, mouse, monitor, and just leave it running, then it may be a mystery what address it gets when it boots until you hook something up and look at it. So for our purpose, let's choose static. Okay, so we need to give it a management IP address, 10.6.9. I'm gonna take a guess at what's free. I'm gonna guess 7. Let's go with that. Okay, subnet mask 255.255.255.0. This is 24 mask on this. Default gateway 10.6.9.1. Okay, DNS server. We're just going to use public name servers here. So quad 9 and Cloudflare. Okay, NTP for sync. We're going to want to put something here in hostname. Something like pool1.ntp. Off the top of my head, I'm having trouble with this, but I'm just going to go with. I think maybe it's. Let's go with this. The VM, how the VM can connect to the internet. This is bare metal, so I think they just are used to everyone doing VMs, and the installation has this set up. We don't need, we're directly going to reach the internet directly, so we don't have a proxy, no problem. Let's go. Alrighty. So I think once this, it may reboot at this point. Trying to decide what's happening. Oh, it's a reboot, yes. So we did that initial config, and in fact now in the docs, what do they say? Give it a static address, blah, blah, blah. After your Eve is rebooted, log in and type, okay, they're gonna have us run the update and upgrade commands. Now you'll notice here, it's still telling us the default root password is Eve, which of course we left it that way, so I'm sure that's it. But if you notice here, this is what I was talking about earlier. If we chose DHCP and we didn't, well, we weren't sure what address we were going to get. When this thing boots, as you see, it's going to show you the URL to use to point a browser at it and use the EVE-NG GUI. So here we have HTTP 10.6.9.7, which is the static address we assigned. But if it were DHCP, we would see the DHCP assigned address there. So root Eve. Okay, now in the docs they say, hey, why don't you run the your standard Ubuntu update? And since we're root, we don't have to do sudo or anything. Apparently it is going to go get some updates. Wow, interesting. Okay, I thought that's what it just did in the last step. Upgrade. Here we go. 600 megs of stuff. Let's do it. Well, at least we see the internet connection is definitely working in this case. Okay, so it's saying something's been modified by you or a script since install, package, distributed, shipped, an updated version. We, of course, want to stay with whatever version we've got, because if there were changes made, it was done by the EVE-NG installation. So we're going to say keep our currently installed version. N, capital N, here comes. All right, so we just finished with that OS update. Now this is your standard after it's rerun, which services should be restarted. I'm just going to choose the default. It's going to restart what it needs to. It's going to drop us here. I think it's good form at this point to just reboot completely, and then the final step says that we should run the dpackage command, and you'll see in a moment what that is. Let's let this boot.
All right, so once again, here we are at the prompt. We've just rebooted. This should be the end. Now we're going to verify our EVE-NG installation. So we're going to log in once again as root. Again, I recommend changing the password to something other than EVE. Well, I guess if it's in the lab and it's hidden away or you're the only one getting on it, that's fine. But certainly if you're going to plug this onto, well, any network that someone else has may have access to, you don't really want to use the default credentials. So here we are. We want D package L. Then the doc says EVE-NG. Okay, so we're going to check that the EVE-NG packages were installed properly. What do we get? Yep, so here it's showing us that it's EVE-NG. It's the 6.2.0-4 version, and that's exactly what we downloaded. That was the ISO we downloaded to make the bootable disk. So that's that. I will exit here, and then now we'll connect remotely to this. We'll point a browser at this URL http 10.6.9.7, and we'll go on from there. All right, we've now completed the bare metal installation of EVE-NG on our server. We saw in that verification step that the latest EVE-NG package that was installed on the server was 6.2.0-4, which matches with the ISO that we downloaded to start with. So that is a good indication that we've completed and we're on the right version. Now, if we go back to the documentation for a moment, so this is the cookbook again. We've skipped to section 3.7. Log into the EVE Web GUI. So they're saying, hey, and we saw the URL on the console. If you recall, it was pointing to HTTP and 10.6.9.7. So they're just pointing out that yes, it's HTTP and not HTTPS. So it will be on TCP port 80, and the URL will look like this. With you swap out your IP address, default user access. The username is admin. Password is Eve. It says we can, well, they mention you can change your password, go to this section. All right, so we'll come back to the browser now and try and pull the web GUI. So we said it was HTTP 10.6.9.7, go. And there we go. So we have the GUI from our server. And just to be clear, we're now on a different PC on the same network, or that can reach 10.6.9.7. In fact, I'll show you. So IP config on this. I've got the address 10.6.9.152. So this was DHCP assigned. And then clearly I can ping 10.6.9.7 from here. So just to be clear, I don't have any, this GUI is on a completely different machine. I'm pointing to the bare metal server to get this. So we said the default username is admin and the default password is Eve. You can choose here native console or HTML5. We'll get into those details in a later video. This is just to show you what needs to be done to install EVE-NG on bare metal and to log in on the GUI. So here we are, logged in on the GUI. We can, we've got all our menus. We're logged in as the admin user. We could change the password here. We're not going to. And we can sign out, and there it is. You've now installed your bare metal EVE-NG environment.
Thanks for watching, and be sure to check out my other EVE-NG videos.